Tonight show, we have augmented reality expert Dan Queen. And now for your host, KoolKard. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are live once again. It is episode 183 of the Kickin It with KoolKard show. I am your host, KoolKard. If this is your first time joining in, I do invite you to subscribe, tell a friend, and everybody come back again so I can continue bringing you the great guests that I have on my show each and every week. We provide value. They provide the value. I just chime in with my little 2 cents, but they provide all the value, all the knowledge, all the cool stuff. And tonight, listen, this is going to be amazing. If you know me, I love gadgets. I love technology. And tonight, we're going to be unveiling the wonderful world of augmented reality, exploring AI, and just talking to an expert about all the wonderful things that are coming. Hear me out. Coming to us through AI, augmented reality, all the things that we fear. He might be able to bust some myths for us and tell us all the good use purposes and all that good stuff. But tonight, Dan Queen is joining me, man. He's a friend. He's a good friend that I've met a long time ago. And you're gonna see. And if you've known me, you might have seen something that I partook in that he put me on to. So we're gonna see. Without further ado, let's go. Let me bring him in. Welcome to the show, Dan.
Hey, how are you?
I am wonderful, man. It is so good seeing you. It has been years.
It's been a long time, it's been it's got to be over, 20, over 13 years, maybe somewhere around there.
Yeah, it's probably been about 13 years. Definitely.
And
So we got to tell everybody how we met. Huh?
I have to start calling you old man.
Hey man, I'm a little seasoned. I am a little seasoned. You met me back when, but yeah, it's all good. We all get wiser. We're just getting better, right?
Right, that's right.
Hey, I have to ask you this. I pray before each conversation. Are you okay with that?
I'm fine with that. Go right ahead.
I have to ask because everybody's faith is not the same. All right. Yep. Heavenly Father, Lord Jesus, we just thank you for joining us together tonight. Just reuniting me and Dan and I, Heavenly Father, Lord Jesus, to have a great conversation about technology. One of the things we both love, Heavenly Father, Lord Jesus, we just thank you for allowing him to come on here and just share his knowledge and all of his experience with us, Heavenly Father. We just thank you for just allowing us to wake up each and every day, Heavenly Father, Lord Jesus. We just thank you for life, love, happiness, the food on our table, the shoes on our feet, the clothes on our back, Lord Jesus, just for waking us up today. We just give you all the victory, all the glory, all the love, all the praise. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. So let's start here. Before we introduce and tell everybody what you do, we have to set the precedent that I met you over 10 years ago. And I did a video for a product that you were working on at that time, or working with, a product line called My View. We definitely have to let the viewer see the video.
We do. And what's interesting here is that these are the predecessors, or what originally started the beginnings of augmented reality smart glasses. And Google Glass was born out of these, and I have a pair, and this is what we'll see you with a few minutes ago. But back then, these would give you like a 70-inch television on your face. You can plug it into your cell phone or whatever. But you know what? I'm going to let the video, I'm going to transition to the video here, and I'm going to let the video speak for itself so everybody can see you in your prime. Here we go.
Let's go.
Oh, my bad, man. I'm in your view.
Oh, no. You cool, man. I'm in my views.
You're in your views.
I'm in my views.
You're in your views.
Yeah, I'm in my views. You in your views? I'm in my views.
You
You in your views? I'm in my view. View. Yeah, I got my views on my face. Say
My
what?
goodness.
On my face. Say what? I got my views on my face. Say what? You just plug it in your iPod and say, look what I got. It's like I got a movie screen sitting up on my eyes. I got my hands free. I can watch while I eat. You just plug this in your ear like you listen to a beat. When they see me on the plane, they be like, what's he doing? I got movies on my face. That is what I'm viewing. I got Eddie Murphy, Holy Man, Chris Tucker, Jackie Chan, Rush Hour 1, 2, and 3, even Martin. And don't worry about the view. You got front row seats because the screen is on you. Look at Hot Dog Dave. He got them too. I even got Speedy who watch the Scooby Doo. Now get your iPod. Now get your cell phone. Now get your camcorder. Now get your DVD player. Get your game system. Now get your iPod. Now get your cell phone. Now get your DVD player. Now plug it right in. You can watch it right then. Now plug it right in. You can watch it right then. Now plug it right in. You can watch it right then. Now plug it right in. You can watch it right then. If you still ain't got a clue, then this is what you do. Grab yourself some shades and see it in my view. My view. My view. My view. My view. The view.
Is that good or what?
Oh my God. That is man, that brings back so many memories. I had so much fun making that video. But what's crazy is I was a part of the beginning of where we are now, and I didn't even know it.
You were. You
Yeah.
were. We took that, and actually the story is that Google announced Google Glass in 2008. I mean, that's when they released it, and of course they were making noise about it in 2007. So I started reaching out to Google and I started talking to them about, hey, Intel was an investor in our company, and we were saying, hey, we can take an Intel chip and we can put it in here, and then we can use this new operating system called Android, and we'll have wearable computing on our face, and the displays will be here, and the camera will be here, can see out. And so I started talking to Google, and it wasn't until CES of 2012 that we actually announced our product, and we showed it at CES 2012. I think you have a video. Do you have a video of that?
Yeah. Let me show you. Yep, I do. Here we go.
What do I do? Well, we make a wearable headset with integrated camera and viewer, but it's a smart device in that not only can you stream and record video locally, but you can also stream it to the web live, to a web portal that we also have, where your friends, family, anyone you wish can view it, can communicate with you, and they can see exactly what you're doing. In fact, you can pop open a street view, a map view, and they can see where you are, where you're traveling to on the map, and they see the video that you're streaming at the same time.
So what's in here?
So what is in here is this is a complete smart Android device. It's basically a complete tablet that's built into this device. So one of the things that you can do, for instance, if you'd like to browse the web, you can simply put this on, and put this on. You can put this in your pocket, get it out of the way. Then you can pull open your cell phone, and now you can use your cell phone to control our Android smart device, and I can completely see what's going on I can move, I can scroll the menu, I can browse the web, I can do emails, I can even play video games, except you don't want to play video games on the monocular. You'll want to take the device off and dock it with a large screen TV or a projector. And since it's an Android device with Android market enabled, you can download video games and anything that's on the market, and you can play those. So the nice thing about this whole concept is when you're alone, you can record video of what you're doing, or you can stream it to the web. When you get back to your room or with your friends, you can disconnect the smart controller, you can sit down, you can share your videos of the day, or you can do emails, browse the web, play video games, whatever you'd like to do with your friends.
Took the whole concept.
It's interesting because, that was 2012, right? And so it was the world's first Android smart glasses for augmented reality. And shortly after we made that announcement, Google shows up at our doorstep and says, you know what? We sort of copied your patents, and we have this thing called Google Glass. It does what your thing does. What are we going to do about it? And the company who bought us, which was Foxconn, and we set up a whole new company for Foxconn to build this thing. And if anybody who knows the name Foxconn knows that they make all the Apple products, iPhone, that sort of thing. So essentially, Foxconn and Google cut a deal. You can read about it on the internet, but they cut a deal. They sold all our patents to Google for Google Glass. And in return, Foxconn got rights to manufacture the first version of Google Glass. And the rest of us got fired. So even though we created it. So I joined another company at that shortly after that, doing augmented reality, talking about how to really make augmented reality work inside of companies like DHL, Walmart, and those sort of places. And while I traveled the world speaking, I would put up a little sign, and I'll show this little picture here. I'll put it up so everybody can see it.
Let me go over here.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me switch over to the Cameo. We can get a good look at that. There we go.
There you go. So basically, I'd show that Google really didn't create it. We did. They copied a version of one of our headsets. Ours was for 2 eyes, so it was a binocular device. Google Glass was 1 eye for a monocular. And they didn't even change the industrial design much. The wire rim glasses still look the same. So it was pretty interesting when I'd have these conversations with people at various trade events and conferences, and showed them sort of the history of where Google Glass got its beginnings from.
So you guys were, wow.
You were ahead of your time doing the My View dance.
Right? Oh man, yeah. I appreciate that opportunity, because I'm telling you, I love gadgets. I had a YouTube show doing tech reviews for years, and so that was right up my alley. That really made my year. I have fun doing that.
It was really creative, and I had so much fun showing that to all sorts of people, that we were trying to promote the product to, and they were going, "Who is this guy?" And I said, "Oh, he's an up and coming rapper out of Atlanta, and trying to drum up a little business for you."
Hey, that's pretty cool. I appreciate it. I really do. Hey, so tell everybody your title right now, your working title at your job now, and the years that you've spent in the world of technology, because you were at the forefront of AR and VR and all that.
Yeah, so I'm Vice President of Sales and Business Development for a software agency. We basically do, we're a digital company in that we create different types of applications, whether they're shopping applications for big supermarkets or down your end. I'm not sure if Pet Paradise is down your end, but it's a resort for pets, where your dog, as an example, gets their own room, gets a camera, gets a TV.
Oh, wow.
You can remote in on the app that we make for them and say, "I want to order ice cream for my dog," and you can see them serve it to your dog.
Wow.
we make all kinds of different applications. We do augmented reality apps, so it's pretty wild the different things we get involved with.
Okay.
And then on technology side, I've been in it from basically high school. I was in electronics way back when. I went in the Air Force and spent my time working on electronic systems on aircraft. And then, and it's quite funny, I then got into, I got a call one day when I was working on base, and the guy says, "Hey, this is Commander so-and-so. Do you know me?" And I go, "How would I know a commander in the Navy? I'm in the Air Force." And he said, "Well, I hang out with some of your friends." And I go, "Really?" And he said, "Yeah, we go scuba diving together." And he said, "I run a community project. I need an electronics guy. Do you want to come and help?" And I said, "What kind of projects?" And he said, "We look for shipwrecks." And I said, "What?" So I said, "Yeah, I'll help." So a couple weeks later, I'm sitting and doing my work in my office, and all of a sudden I get a nasty phone call from the commander, who told me to get my butt down to his office in a hurry. So I run down to his office. I go, "Yes, sir. What do you need?" And he goes, "What the hell did you do?" I said, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "You got orders to go work for the Navy for 2 weeks."
Oh, wow.
So every summer for 2 weeks, I would go to the Navy and I would look for shipwrecks, historical shipwrecks of, just to catalog them. And I do that with the Navy. And when I got out, he and I started a business out in San Francisco, and we looked for shipwrecks for commercial use. We did all sorts of things. We were the first company to do an electronic underwater survey of the BART tunnel underneath San Francisco Harbor. Mm-hmm. We did all sorts of crazy things. So it was pretty wild.
So did you create some type of device to look for the shipwrecks, or you had to program something, or what?
So there's a couple things there. One, there was a thing called side scan sonar, which was the best unit in the world, was actually made here in New Hampshire. And we would use that gentleman's side scan sonar systems, which were very expensive at the time. Today, they're nickel and dimes at the store, right? You can buy these units at any marine store. But back then, they were super expensive, created very, very high resolution images, what was considered high resolution at the time. And we tow them behind the boat, and we would create a drawing of what was down below, mm-hmm. and you would survey that way. And then there was also other types of things, magnetometers, bottom profilers. But one of the things you'll find interesting is that there was no such thing as cell phones back then, and there was no such thing as GPS. So when we were doing the BART survey, we had what we called LORAN. You probably never even heard of that, but it was the way boaters navigated. And we were so close to the shore, we needed a way to be able to say whether we were on top of the tunnel or not. So I built a laser system, and I actually shot a laser beam out into the water so that it would show up on the boat, and I could see how far off the ruler we were from the center line of the tunnel based on where the laser light was hitting. And so, wow. But that was because we had no GPS. We had to do something, that was creative.
Right. And how many ships did you find, and what was like the coolest discovery?
We think we never were able to excavate or do anything because it was a national park. But we think we found a Spanish galleon out in California off of Point Reyes. Shards of pottery from different Chinese dynasties kept washing ashore. And when we did our sonar survey, we painted a really nice picture of a wreck down there. But because it was in a national park, they wouldn't let us do any work on it. Wouldn't let us dig or anything else. The permits would take too long. Right. Some other cool things that we did was we would look for brand new fishing boats that would sink coming out of the Columbia River. The water there is so rough, sometimes the boats capsize, and so we'd get called out to survey and try to find those. One of the coolest wrecks I was on, though, was the boat that went down and ship that went down. I think it was 1907, and it was called the SS Republic. and supposedly it was loaded with $3 million of gold American eagles, which at the time we were doing a survey, that would be equivalent to about $50 million in just coin value. That doesn't count what the value would be because of the condition of the coin. And I actually have a video if you want to see that. I have a short video.
Let's go. Let me go to Cameo.
Yeah, and this is an old video, and we were on CBS for this, and you'll see. Of course, I'll be a lot younger then.
Of the area of the wreck, correct? So you couldn't look at like details or anything like that.
Yeah, the problem with that was you had, after a day of survey, you would have all these rolls of paper that you had to look through and open them up, unroll them, and try to find what you were looking at and the marks that you made, and it was quite a task to keep all the papers.
What on that drawing or graph made you see? Well, what indicated that it could possibly be a wreck with what you were looking at?
So it actually looked like a ship laying on its side. So you actually saw what looked like a ship and the towers coming off of the ship. And of course, it was laying on its side, so you had a shadow or echo coming off of that. But you could pretty much tell it was a ship. I mean, there was nothing else that big down there, right? Because the ship was a few hundreds of feet long.
And how deep?
That one, surprisingly, that was in pretty shallow water. It was about 250 feet of water, somewhere in there.
So they were able to recover like the coins and all that?
No, because the ship had been down there for so long and it was laying on its side. And when it hit on its side, everything sort of collapsed inward. Mm-hmm. And so the safe where the gold would have been stored was lying at the bottom of all the wreckage. And so for the 2 weeks we were supposed to be out there, that cost $2 million to do the survey, just to be out there.
Wow.
So you can imagine how much it would cost if you actually tried to excavate and pull off all the broken pieces of the ship and go down and then try to get inside to find something, which you really don't want to do with divers when a collapsed shipwreck, so we actually had to turn around and come back fairly early because the refrigerator broke and all the food got spoiled, and we had nothing to eat for a few days, so we decided time to go back.
Oh man, what ocean was that in?
That was off the coast of Massachusetts, about I think it was about 50, 60 miles offshore, so it wasn't that far.
And no one's ever, so with all these cranes and all that stuff now, like nobody could go out there and set up shop and put a crane down there and drag that stuff up?
Yeah, I'm sure they could now or something, but still, it's shipwrecks when they're underwater and they're all broken apart and they're rusted and things are just breaking apart as soon as you grab onto them. It's not a good thing.
Okay, so it's dangerous, pretty much.
Yeah, it's very dangerous. Okay. Very dangerous.
Wow, that's man. You've done some cool stuff, but that's not even the half, I'm sure, because you told me you're skydiving, you're scuba diving, you're doing all these crazy things. You're alligator hunting, you're ghost hunting. Talk about that.
Yeah, so the ghost hunting part, it was pretty wild. It actually started from an old girlfriend from high school. She gave me a call and she said, Dan, I have this friend. He has a lot of money. He lives in New Hampshire. He bought an old mansion and refurbished it. And I don't want to sound like I'm being a little crazy here. He needs help with technology, but don't think I'm nuts if I say what I'm going to say. I go, what is it? She goes, well, he says it's haunted and he needs help trying to figure out how to look for haunted, look for ghosts. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, this should be interesting. So I went over to meet the guy, and quite an amazing gentleman and what he did to the mansion, and how he refurbished it. But the history is that it was an old governor's mansion, and the governor and everybody that lived there at one time, somehow a child got killed inside the mansion, and as a result, he claims it's haunted, and he'll be sitting there at night sometimes working, and papers will get thrown across the room it feels like someone's running by, a little kid is running by, and that sort of thing. So he basically said, can you, and actually it was started with my view glasses, can you create something that will allow me to see in the dark? I want night vision, and I don't want to pay military night vision, which costs $4,000, $5,000. I want something that, I can just easily use and that sort of thing. So we came to an agreement. I built him some unique, me and the team. Some of the team you remember. I don't know if you remember Kip from when we were at My View and that sort of thing.
I think I remember that name.
Yeah, he was the boss. But we built him a set of My View glasses with cameras on them, with night vision cameras on them, and he could actually see in the dark. But we also built it. There's this thing called EVP that ghost hunters use, investigators. I can't say ghost hunters. I have to say investigators. That paranormal investigators use. And basically what they say is that you cannot hear a ghost directly. You have to be able to record the ghost and then play it back, and you'll hear what the ghost said. So we built into the My View glasses a way for you to record immediately and play it back in your ear with a 3-second delay. So you were able to hear a ghost if the ghost was talking without having to wait till after the ghost investigation to play the whole thing back. So he then hooked me up with some people who actually came and did an investigation on his property, and that was Sci-Fi Channel's Ghost Hunters. And so I met the whole, Sci-Fi Channel Ghost Hunter team. People probably know them. They're pretty famous now. And we started working together. We became really good friends. And let me see. I think I have one here. And Steve Gonzalez was one of them. I'm going to flip to one of my videos, maybe a couple slides here too, and I'll show you. So this is Steve doing some work with me at the Consumer Electronics Show, but you'll hear him talk in a second. And it's in the dark.
Okay.
I'm Steve. Ghost Hunters, come see me at the Great American Outdoor Show, where I'll introduce you to the Blaze line of night vision gear. That's in the Outdoor Products Hall, booth 3601.
And then this is another picture. I would actually go out with Steve, and we'd use our night vision goggles and AR capabilities, and I would work with different people, and he introduced me to more people. So Steve is the one wearing the blue hat, and Josh Gates, who people might know if they've ever seen the Discovery Channel's Expeditions Unknown. And I would provide some gear to Josh Gates for his show as well. So I got introduced to a bunch of the reality TV show guys, and we've been friends ever since.
Answer this question. So I saw that you showed me a picture or a video of something that was on the floor that was detecting. What is that, and what actually detects? Is it waves? Like, explain that to me. What actually detects the ghost in your presence?
Yeah, so investigators use a bunch of different types of devices to check for energy in the area. The E-Pod that you showed, you mentioned, and I can show a picture of that in a minute.
Okay.
But the E-Pod is an electronic device with an antenna on it, and basically it detects static electricity in the area.
Okay.
And supposedly, when paranormal activity is near you, there's an increase in static electricity, and because it's energy.
Right.
Paranormal entities are energy, and as they come by, this thing will detect it. So the video I'll show in a minute is actually one of those E-Pods on the ground, on the floor of the Conjuring house. Now, some people know what the Conjuring house is, some people won't. So the Conjuring house, look up the movie The Conjuring, and you will see it was a pretty popular movie. Of course, it was really exaggerated with ghosts and spirits, evil spirits, and that sort of thing. But I met an individual at a paranormal investigation, and he said, "Dan, you got to come and spend the night. I live in the Conjuring house." And he kept saying the Conjuring house, and I was like, "What are you talking about, the Conjuring house?" He goes, "The movie. Think of the movie. I'm in the real house." And we were like, really? You live in that thing? He goes, yeah, and we're gonna do something on Discovery Channel, and you ought to come up and spend the night, and we can do an investigation and bring all your night vision cameras. And so my wife and I went out, and we were going to spend the night. And I'll show a picture here of what the house looks like, so people can see. Okay. And it also happened to be Halloween. And if you want to switch the camera over,
I'm there. Go ahead.
Okay. So it's an old house, really old. And it was Halloween, and the night Halloween week, the night we went up. So I'm having a little fun with the skeletons he puts on the outside. I'm, walking around the house. But the house is it's old. It's ancient. I think the thing was built in the 1700s or something. And inside the house, the way it's set up is a little bizarre. I mean, it's a little spooky on the second floor, because you can see from one end of the building all the way through the bedrooms to the other end of the building. And I've never seen a house set up with bedrooms like that, where you can see straight through. And so the video I'm going to show here in a second is of the that E-pod on the floor, and the all night long, none of the E-pods in the house had made an alarm at all. They were all completely silent. So there are cameras in every room. So we're actually in another room where we can see what's going on. And this time the people we were with said, hey, why don't your wife go out there and ask the spirit questions? So my wife goes out and she starts asking questions, into the thin air, right? She says, are you happy? And this thing on the floor just starts going wild. It just starts blinking. It starts beeping, and it went nuts. And when you watch the video at the end, you'll actually hear my wife say, hey, how many fingers do I have? And she's holding 4 fingers out, right? Mm-hmm. And you'll hear the tone of the E-pod. It's got a baseline tone going, yoo, and then you'll hear it beep 4 times. It'll go boo, beep, boo, beep, boo. 4 times it will beep.
What in the world?
And so it was counting her fingers, right? So I'm going to play that, and you can listen in on the whole thing. You have to listen carefully, though.
Okay.
You hear a noise. Is that you? Can you touch that little gadget on the floor? Make it go off? Thank you. I heard that. Are you happy? I hope that means you are. That would mean a lot to me. I'm holding up some fingers. Can you see them? Do you know how many I'm holding up? Good. Thank you for answering. I was wondering if you could see me.
So right after that, my wife said, I'm not going to stay here tonight. I want to go home.
Yeah, I would have said the same thing.
So we drove 2.5 hours home in the middle of the night.
No way I would have stayed there.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
And so in that house, who supposedly died in that house?
So there's been, there was this family that lived there in the 70s, and I think that's what the movie was about. But I think it was 74 or something. But it was about how the there. I don't know if there was actual possession or if there was just a lot of activity and the kids and family got spooked out of the house. In the movie, it shows a lot of possession and the mother goes crazy and she's taken over by the entity and that sort of thing. But I don't think that really happened in real life. It was just a really a real strong haunting that happened to take place. So the house has passed hands multiple times. And then a friend of mine who's sort of in the reality TV show business got an invitation to live there for a period of time and then help put together a show for Discovery Channel. And I actually couldn't show these videos for a year because I had agreed with the Discovery people that I would not air anything on social media until after their show was on the air. So
what was the name of the show? Do you recall?
No, I don't remember. There's actually a couple of them, but it actually talks about the haunting at the Conjuring house or something like that. Title was something like that.
Okay.
But it's pretty wild.
Man, that is wow. I mean, I've always believed in that. So that just wow. Just to see it though, to actually see that, that's amazing.
Yeah, and it actually all that got me. That actually moved back into augmented reality. It got tied in together because what happened was, back after the big guys started moving into augmented reality, the big guys, Microsoft and Google and all these other guys, I started going, what else can we do to have a niche and grow a company with augmented reality? And the one thing that hit me because of the ghost hunting was night vision. And so we decided, I actually got a call from a company, and one of the VPs there knew me, and she said, "Hey, we're trying to come up with some new devices that use technology. Would you come on board and help us build a business around our technology, but build whatever you need to?" So we built 3 products essentially, and I can show you one here in a minute. But that not only had night vision, but had augmented reality built in, and that was pretty cool because to this day, in fact, I was just having a conversation with somebody at the Augmented Reality conference out in California a week ago. To this day, none of the augmented reality guys out there are doing night vision, and it would be a very cool thing because you have in the industrial space alone, you have 23 million field service workers. Think of the linemen that work at night and they have to climb poles and everything in the night. They could use these night vision, augmented reality night vision tools to actually see what they're working on, and it feeds them information telling them exactly what they're working on. You're on pole number 365. There's 220 volts coming through the transformer. It's off right now. Those sort of things are all in front of your eyes when you're using augmented reality.
I did not know it could do all of that. So when I thought of augmented reality, the iPhone used to do augmented reality for a while, and then they took it off of there.
No, they still do it.
They still do it?
Yeah, there are basically 1.4 billion people using augmented reality today. And every cell phone has many, many apps for augmented reality. Most consumers know augmented reality from first games like Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Or you're doing virtual shopping. Or you're using, like, if you're an IKEA customer, you can actually use a cell phone, and you want to buy a new couch. You move your cell phone around your living room, and it puts the couch right there in your living room, right? But the thing that we built, and I actually won an award for this, is this guy.
Okay.
This is called a Blaze Spark, and I was upside down. Sorry about that. And what this was meant to do it has a night vision sensor built in here, but it was meant to put your cell phone in here. Okay.
Oh,
so the way
cool.
it worked is that you put your cell phone in here, and it's a cradle for your cell phone. Okay. And let me unlock my cell phone here. There you go. And so your cell phone's in there operating, but now your cell phone just got turned into a night vision camera with real night vision. And so when I turn this on, let me turn it on here. When I turn it on, it's going to load an app. And let me see if the app comes on. Okay. So now there's night vision. In fact, if I, let me kill, this one's black and white. I'll show you another one, which is color in a few minutes, but let me turn the lights off. So now it's dark in here, and you can see this thing sees me perfectly. Okay.
Wow.
Now I'll turn the lights back on here. Now, what was cool about this device, and this is why we won CES awards. Do you remember the app called Periscope?
Yeah.
Social app where it allowed you to see people streaming video anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And you went to a little map and you could pick them and say, I want to see what you're doing in Spain, right? So we built an app like that for this. So while you're walking around at night streaming whatever you're streaming, people around the world could be watching you, and they could be talking to you in the dark, and you could be telling them, yeah, I'm here in the dark right now. I'm doing this, and oh, hold on, let me just get this back here. And you could have a conversation, and you could show them the fun you were having. But we also built AR for Facebook. You had to opt in. You had to agree to it. So since the app is no longer working, this thing is no longer being sold, I have to use a picture. But here's a picture of a friend, okay? And if she was walking by me and it was dark, this would see her and pull up her whole Facebook profile automatically.
Oh, wow.
So here we are. I'm gonna put the camera here. I'm gonna pull up her picture, and then you tell me, you'll be able to see what it does. See, it just pulled up her.
Hold on, let me go to the cameo shot. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me switch to the cameo shot, and I want to see this. Yeah, go ahead, do it again.
Okay, so I pull up her picture, and it automatically detects. There it goes. Detects her Facebook profile and pulls it up.
That is amazing. Does this technology have anything to do with what they're doing with the Oculus, the goggles? Because it detects, you can go to people's Facebook profiles and all types of stuff like that. Does that have anything to do with that, or did they use some of that technology?
I'm not sure if they do, or I mean, they could use their own facial recognition. They could use their own profile. All that stuff is possible.
Okay.
Because the software has gotten pretty sophisticated today, looking at people's faces, and as long as you have a profile of them someplace, it's pretty easy for the system to actually go in and say, yeah, I know this person, and pull up the information. So yeah, it's possible.
Technology is amazing. Man,
Yes,
you've been a part of some cool stuff, some really cool stuff. I can't wait to see what else you got in store. Like, what are you currently working on now? Because I know you got.
So there is, well, first off, there's there's a whole bunch of things. So obviously, the company I'm working with now, we do software apps and those sort of things, right?
Okay.
But I still, because of the business I've been in, I still get a lot of people that call me and ask me to help. So I can't tell you the names and everything, but there's a thing going on now where you've heard about all the government stuff going on about UAPs, or UFOs, and they now call them UAPs. And there's a bunch of work being done to actually try to capture more images of these sort of things. So I actually am working with some folks to help them potentially build some new systems that are inexpensive, that can record images day or night of these things that they're seeing, and document those. So that would be a pretty cool little project. Also doing some other work on with AI for recognition of animals, not people, but using AI to recognize different types of animals. So it would be sort of cool to do that. A good example would be, I told you about the pet resort. Imagine if you're an owner and you want to know when your dog runs from inside the building and goes to the swimming pool and goes swimming. So you want to know when it comes out. So if you had cameras set up that actually recognize animals and did facial recognition of the dogs, you can notify the owner that in fact your dog just went out for a swim, and then you could see your dog swimming.
Oh my God, this stuff is getting crazy.
Yeah, and then you start talking about AI being added to all this stuff, and it just ratchets it up a notch even further.
So that's a good segue to a lot of myths out there about AI destroying humanity, security risks. What is your take on all of that? So do you feel like it can present security risks, national security risks, just for people in general? What are some good? We know the use.
Yeah, it's a tough thing to say, right? I mean, there's a lot of people out there a lot smarter than me that have already put down their 2 cents worth on the subject. Look, any technology can be dangerous, right? Just like what I showed you a minute ago with the facial recognition and the Facebook thing. That could be used in the wrong way if somebody really wanted it to be. AI is like that too. Can AI get out of control? Again, I'm not an engineer. I can only say that probably anything is possible these days. I mean, think of all the movies where Skynet takes over the world, and launches weapons, right? Mm-hmm. Who knows? But the stuff is pretty powerful, and building upon the models, the learning models that they build on, can make it pretty powerful. And how does one limit that? So, like ChatGPT, if you look at ChatGPT today, which does a lot of cool things. I mean, I use it almost every day for some things. But if you look at that, all the information, all the questions that it's being asked is building its libraries, mm-hmm. right? So that if it ever gets asked about this again, it has context to actually give an answer to, right? So if all this knowledge is being built up, then there has to be a way to act on it, right? So is there a physical way to where AI is connected so that it can physically activate something? I'm sure there is. I mean, there's AI built in a lot of different things, especially on the manufacturing side of the house. But will it ever ratchet up farther than that? I mean, you heard a week ago, you heard the story about the Air Force simulation that supposedly killed the drone operator because he wouldn't allow the drone to make a kill, right? And of course, the Air Force then you didn't hear that? Oh, look it up. It was all over the news a week or so ago. At first they said a drone operator died due to AI taking control of the drone and coming back to kill him because he wouldn't give the drone permission to take out the bad guys. So the drone tried to find a creative way to get around killing the bad guy. So the drone figured that the only way to kill the bad guy was to kill the operator to get permission to kill the bad guy. So yeah, and then the Air Force obviously immediately denied it, and there was all this hoopla around it. It turned out it was a simulation, and apparently the Air Force actually denied that scenario ever took place. But it's out there; you can read about it. But those are the sort of things that you people could worry about, right? Is it possible that AI makes a logical choice in its mind to do something when it has control of something like a drone in order to do something that's not right? And I don't know. I don't know. But I do think, here in the United States, I know there's a lot of talk about limiting, AI. I can tell you, though, having traveled the world and spent a lot of time in countries like China, that nobody else around the world is going to stop limiting their education and growth of AI. And it would be disadvantage for us to do the same. Do we need to control it? Certainly. But given the state of the world these days, you have to think twice about
That
that.
has to be a fine line of control and limitations, right?
Yeah.
Fine line.
Yeah. But AI, there's some pretty cool stuff. I have, in fact, I'm doing a demo. This is a pair of AR glasses. I put them on, and all of a sudden it's got cameras here, and computer information appears in front of my eyes. And one of the demos on this pair of glasses, this is made by Vuzix, one of the companies I was working for. This is called a Vuzix Blade. And so one of the demos is that you use AI, and if I say something wrong, it automatically tells me in the screen that I'm saying something wrong. So if I say, for an example, hey, I'm 22 years old. I'm about ready to go to, I'm about ready to graduate from college. It might come up and say, Dan, you're an old man. Don't even think about that. Right? So it knows enough to do those sort of things. So it's pretty wild.
So is that similar to what the Ray-Ban type of glasses are? Is that along the same vein as well?
No, this pair of glasses actually has a full computer built in. There's batteries built in, a computer built in, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. It has finger control here, so you can adjust. You can move, scroll, and different things with it. You probably can't see the screen in the light. I'm trying to get it to reflect a little bit, but there's a
yeah, I saw a little bit
screen in there. But you can it can connect to your cell phone as well. So you can take phone calls from here. It'll show you who's calling, what's going on. This is one of the smaller, lighter pairs of AR glasses on the market. They are getting smaller and lighter. The biggest problem for any of the vendors making glasses is battery power. If you want a pair of glasses that's going to last all day, batteries get big, and then the headsets, the temples here get very big.
Does it get hot? Does it get hot on your head?
No, this doesn't get hot at all. It gets warm, but it doesn't get hot. So it's uncomfortable. And so you'll find different styles of these around, and they're getting better every day, as I said.
Man, those are cool. There's so much technology going. Like, this stuff we don't even know about. The public I don't think we're really privy to all of these gadgets, like the glasses. I mean, all I knew about were the Ray-Bans. That's all I've heard about, and I haven't even really looked into it. But you got stuff like that's on the market, and wow.
Yeah, I mean, I think you do have to be aware of technology in order to find some of this stuff, because not all these new products can make it to the shelves on time, and so most of these companies now are looking at digital media means of getting out there, whether it's social media or some other means of getting out there and growing. Because going in a store is very expensive, right? Putting product in the store is really expensive. But another pair of glasses, I don't know if you ride bicycles or anything, but Engo is another eyewear company, ENGO. And if you look them up, they actually look like Oakleys, and they have AR built into them. And as you're riding your bike, it tells you your speed, it gives you your compass, it'll even give you directions, all inside the glass while you're bicycling along. And they look very nice as well, and they're reasonably priced. Certainly, I mean, bikes are so expensive nowadays. Anyways, anybody that can afford a $2,000 bicycle have no problem buying a pair of these augmented reality glasses for their work. So,
how do you feel about AI taking people's jobs? How do you feel about that? It's a lot of talk about that.
I'm just going to say, like all technology that has happened, over the few decades that I've been around and looking at different ways of what has happened. Everybody always threaded about, oh, my job, and then we found out that people got retrained, started doing things a little differently, and I think that will happen as well. Okay. So I'm not so concerned about that aspect of AI at this point in time. I do think it's going to change the world drastically. I saw an app that got made the other day using AI, and the person basically wrote a little script saying what he wanted the app to do, and it created all the graphical files for what the app would look like in a tool called Figma. Software designers know what that is. And then from the Figma, it actually created the source code and generated the app, and the guy loaded it on his phone and ran it. Now, is it an app that is robust enough to stand if it was commercial and 12 million people beating on the app a day? Probably not. But still, that's a heck of a step in one direction, right?
Yeah, something to build on.
Yeah, and so it's not hard to imagine that software design is going to incorporate the use of AI to make software more robust, less testing, right? You can imagine that AI is going to provide testing for applications before you roll them out the door, so you make them close to bug free compared to what they are nowadays, right? So yeah. It's coming. That's coming.
So for dummies, so AI for dummies, can you give us a little gist of like what is actually the technology behind it? What makes it work? If you can explain that in 5 minutes, I guess.
Well, behind AI, and I'm not an expert in it again, but behind AI actually is a set of libraries, these large libraries called LLMs. And the data that's collected allows AI to act upon it, right? It allows it to predict. Prediction is one of the cool things that AI can do. And by prediction, what I mean by this is that if you're a worker and you're doing a certain number of tasks, like you're assembling a vehicle, and you've got a pair of AR glasses on, right? And the AR glasses, like the ones I just showed you, the AR glasses has a camera, and it's showing the AI what you're doing. And you grab something and you screw it in, maybe AI will then predict that your next move should be this. And it might say, oh, your next move is to grab the screwdriver and put another screw in here. Or maybe you did it wrong, and it's going to say to you, you know what? You did the wrong thing. What you really needed to do was this. So please go grab this tool and act upon it this way. So there's just all sorts of cool things that can come out of that. So a lot of people started to think that AR was going to sort of just go away, or it would be around, but it wasn't going to be the big hit that it should be, right? And we're all seeing that's been proven wrong for a number of years now. But AI combined with AR now makes AR grow exponentially because the two work together. AR is sort of the interface, the outward interface of AI. It's the way that AI can express itself to humans, because now you can see using AR what is going on around you.
So being the expert, what are some uses that you see coming in the future that we, the general public may not see coming or even know about?
Yeah, I think you're gonna see a lot of innovations in healthcare. I think that's going to be a big plus. Unfortunately, I don't think it'll drive down costs, because our healthcare system is built on we have new technology, and even though technology makes our job easier, let's charge more for it. So that's the U.S. healthcare system. But we're already seeing some cool stuff in the healthcare world using AI capabilities. You're certainly going to see. I don't have a video. Let me just see if I have a video loaded up. I don't think I have a video. No, but my son works for an AI company, and they build an application, and you take your cell phone, and if you hover over food, it not only tells you everything that's on your plate, but it tells you how many calories are in each one. And if you took a spoonful of sugar and dropped it on the plate, it would tell you that you just added sugar to your meal, and that is adding extra calories to your thing. So imagine now that it can actually tell you, hey, you're not eating right. You're too fat. You got to do this.
Okay.
Blah, 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 right? So your car is another good example. I mean, a lot of cars are already driverless, right? You can buy a Ford F-150 now, brand new, and you can completely let go of the steering wheel and it'll go down the road for you. So that's even going to be more enhanced with AI as we go. So almost, I think when you talk about AI and AR, I really believe that whatever you can imagine, you can do.
That is crazy. What about the metaverse? How do you feel about the metaverse?
The metaverse. So everybody, after the crypto fiasco, everybody said the metaverse is dead. And you know what? Certain parts of it may have died, but the president of Epic Games a couple of weeks ago made a statement. If the metaverse is dead, how come I have 600 million people using our metaverse daily? 600 million people, right? So is the metaverse dead? No, I don't think it is. But people certainly, marketeers are going to pull back. They certainly are going to rephrase what the metaverse is. They're going to put it in a different viewpoint, under a different layer of light, and they'll come back at it with another sense of what you can do. It. Look, Nike's made a fortune in the metaverse selling Nike wear to avatars for all the kids out there, right? And then, oh, by the way, you want your avatars dressed this way, and you want to do the same thing? Push a button, we'll send it to your house, and it just costs you $100. So yeah, they made a lot of money. I met a guy from a sporting goods shop at a conference, and we were talking about the metaverse and the different worlds that exist. And he said, "Yeah, we just spent $2 million on property in the metaverse." And I go, "What?" And then he's, "Yeah, we bought a parcel." I said, "What for?" And he goes, "Well, everybody else is doing it." And I go, "Well, you're a sporting goods company. Are you going to start selling in there? What are you going to do?" "Oh, we haven't decided yet, but we decided we better do it just because everybody else was." So, it's a little wild. Now Web3 is coming, which the metaverse is partially based on decentralized data. That's gotten a little bit more quiet since the crypto thing as well, but it is coming. There are web browsers that you can download that are Web3 based, which means that you own your data, and it also means that companies need to find different ways of engaging you as a consumer, because now you own your data in that world, in the world of Web3, and when you go to a website, companies don't automatically gain all your data. They have to give you something in return to get data. And that's the concept of Web3. And so that's why you see companies doing all sorts of AR things to entice people to come and reward them for participating. I think one of the beer companies actually created a rewards program where they're actually giving out points for every buy that you make of a beer product of theirs, and then those points can be turned in for money or prizes or whatever, right? So it's that reward. They're getting ready for Web3 where you own the data and they don't.
So your data, your information, right? Is that what you're talking about?
My personal information.
Huh?
My personal information. Okay. Like right now, Amazon owns you. Facebook owns you. Every site you go to that you want to do something on, they own you because you click on the button, you provide them that information. And that's why all when you go to a web browser and you open up a page, all of a sudden all these ads pop up and they're specific to things that you were looking for previously, right? That doesn't exist in the world of Web3 because you own the data.
Now, are these browsers that you speak of public already? That those Web3 browsers that you can use?
Yeah. You can go out and download some of those browsers. Hold on. What's the?
I'm gonna write this down.
Hold on. Let me do it. I should know this off the top of my head, but Brave. Go look at Brave.
Okay.
I kept thinking of DuckDuckGo, and it's not DuckDuckGo. It's Brave.
That's not a Web3 though, is it? Is DuckDuckGo Web3?
No, it's a search engine sort of thing.
Okay.
So, but look at Brave, and you'll see it also will ask you to set up a crypto wallet, that sort of thing.
Okay.
But that's Web3 based.
Okay. So, as far as the whole crypto fiasco, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like it's gonna bounce back? Do you feel like it's a real thing? Do you feel like it was a phase?
Yeah.
What do you...
I personally believe that it will come back, and I think there are countries that are actually, I mean, you probably read about them, countries that are looking at that moving their currency to crypto. I mean, there are a lot of people are trying to get rid of the U.S. dollar in different shapes and forms, and crypto could be a threat to that. But I do see it. I do see it coming back. I mean, it's moved too far to pull all the way back to ground zero, right?
Agreed.
And the ship has left the dock already, and it will come back. It'll be different versions of it, but it'll come back.
Okay. Yeah, and I want to say this. You said something about the what you can't call them UFOs no more. What do they call them now?
UAPs.
UAPs.
Unidentified aerial phenomenon.
When you are able to speak about it, or you've completed whatever you're doing, please let me know, because I love that. I love to learn about what'd you say, UAPs? I love to learn about that. And Trump was supposed to release, wasn't it like the classified documents or videos or whatever? Like whatever happened with that?
Well, they did release a whole bunch of documentation. That's what stirred up the public a lot, and that's why there's a lot more that's going on right now about what the government actually knows and what it doesn't know, and there's just pushes for more of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I was at the symposium in the paranormal symposium. What do they call it? The UFO Congress in Phoenix, and you'll get a kick out of this because I was doing night vision stuff too. Mm-hmm. This lady walked up to me and the people I was with, some of the celebrity people that were there, and they said this, and she must have been like 70 years old, and she said, "Do you have a way to use your goggles to see into my skin?" And we go, "What? You want to see in your?" "Yeah." And she said, "Will your night vision see into the skin?" I said, "Well, yeah, IR can see into the skin." And in fact, doctors, there's actually an IR scanner for nurses and everything to use that actually shows you the veins, so they can put the IV in your vein without missing, right? And so she said, "Can you show this to me?" So I said, "Sure, come on over here for a second." So I took out the color night vision camera that I was using, and I took her towards the back of the stage area where it was dark, and I showed her how it would highlight the veins and everything in her skin, right? She goes, mm-hmm. "Oh, this is so cool. Now can you show me where the implants are?" And I went, "Implants?" And she goes, "Yeah, I've been abducted so many times, they know where I'm at because I have implants. I need to find them so I can get them removed." So,
what the hell?
But yes.
Did you attempt to find?
No. She did buy a pair of night vision goggles, though.
Oh wow. That is crazy. Oh. Hey, there might have been some truth to it. You should have looked.
But it was amazing meeting some of the people at that Congress. I mean, and again, are there UFOs? I don't know. I've never seen
I
one.
believe it.
I believe there has to look. We'd be very selfish to think we're the only ones in the universe.
Yeah.
But we took 40 people who paid money to go with us to the top of one of the mountains in Phoenix, and give them a tour of the night sky using night vision. And we all sat out there for like 3 hours with these 40 people, putting different goggles on their heads and allowing them to look up the night sky. And they would come back, oh, I see something moving. Is that a UFO? And then I'd look up there. I said, no, that's actually a satellite. And you can tell because it'll cross over in 10 minutes. And it's on a straight track. So there was that type of conversation. We were educating people on, what's up.
But you could actually see the satellites with the night vision goggles?
Oh, well, I mean, you can see a satellite with your naked eye at night, just like you can see the space station at night when it comes over at certain times. But yes, satellites, if you go outside and you look up at the sky and let your eyes get adjusted, it takes about 30 minutes for your eyes to get adjusted to the dark, but you will see satellites moving, north to south or south to north, depending on what orbit they're in.
Okay.
But you'll see them just moving right across the sky. And most of them that you see are in low Earth orbit. Low Earth orbits take about 10 minutes to go from one horizon to the other horizon. You'll see them.
Wow. What about the space? So you said the space station, you could see that too?
Yeah, and in fact, right after sunset or right before sunrise, a couple hours, when the sun is at an angle where it can reflect off of the space station, it's like a bright shining light that just comes flying right over your head. Can't miss it. It's pretty wild.
How often does that orbit over on this side?
Well, it depends. It depends. I mean, it goes over the Earth, once or twice a day. Because the orbit's 90 minutes, and depending on the path. I mean, I actually have a satellite tracking program. I don't have it loaded, but I could show you because I'm a ham radio operator. So yes, my antennas point to the sky, and I call ET. There, I admit it. But in fact, I show you. Here's my radio station.
Hold on, oh wow. What? Hold on, man. What are you doing over there? Hold on. Let me get the camera shot. So we all can see this big old station here. What are you doing? So what is your purpose in doing that?
So ham radio operators, amateur radio operators, we communicate worldwide via radios and the internet, and we have all kinds of digital stuff too. We have, you name it, we have it. But we also have a program, an organization called AMSAT, and that stands for Amateur Radio Satellite Organization. And basically, we have probably 25 satellites that are up in orbit. Almost every astronaut is a ham radio operator, and the space station has ham radio on board full time as part of its operation. So we can talk to the astronauts. We can get videos that they send down to us that we can look at. They have what we call a repeater on board, which means when they pass over, I can talk through the space station down to the rest of the Earth, and it repeats my signal from all over. So I can do that with a walkie-talkie, which you see. What we call handy talkies, which you see on the right side of the screen. But those radios, I can talk to any of the satellites with the radios that you see there. I can also talk worldwide with the other radios. And then the handhelds are actually digital ones. They actually work through a mini interface that connects the radio through the internet, and I can dial up anybody in the world and they can talk back to me no matter where I'm at.
Like you can dial up anybody's phone?
Well, it's not a phone, it's any ham radio operator.
Okay, got you.
Any ham radio operator can call another one with the digital systems that we have in place.
So when you said you can speak to any satellite, what do you mean by that?
So we have any satellite that we have that's operational that the ham radio world has put up. So we have like 25 satellites that are up in orbit right now. And you can look it up as AMSAT, AMSAT.org.
Okay.
And if you look them up, you'll see all the satellites we have. You'll see the space, talk about the space station, all the different things that ham radio operators have access to.
And what is the purpose? What is your organization's purpose? What do you guys do?
So ham radio was originally founded years ago, back in the, I don't know, 30s, 40s, somewhere in there, I don't know, was originally founded to promote the use of radio communications. When radio was first coming out, an organization was formed to help grow the use of wireless communication. So ham radio has always been, when it finally got authorized by the U.S. government under the FCC, got organized as a hobby only. You cannot use it for business communication. However, ham radio operators are the guys that man all the police stations, the emergency control centers, fire departments, military. When other forms of communication go out, as you've probably seen on many movies, ham radio operators are there to set up radios and operate, because we're the only ones that can, because we're so flexible. So, good example, 9/11. When 9/11 happened, all the cellular communication and two-way radios were knocked out in New York City. If it wasn't for the thousands of ham radio operators that set up all their radios around New York City, there would have been no communication in New York City during 9/11. So all the radios got set up for that. Hurricanes, lots of times we're the only means of communications in major disaster areas. So that's why every state has ham radio operators operating in their emergency centers during disasters.
How did you become involved with that?
So years ago, when I was a kid working on radar systems on ships at sea, one of the radio operators said to me, he goes, "Hey, when are you gonna, you do this commercially, when are you gonna get your ham radio license?" Because almost all ship operators, radio operators, are ham radio operators too. And I said, "Hey, I don't want to learn the Morse code." And so he gave me a bunch of tapes, cassette tapes. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's old and gone with. So, but he gave me a bunch of cassette tapes and said, "Here, go learn the Morse code." And so I did. I spent a few weeks learning the Morse code, and I went down, because I was in electronics and I had a commercial FCC license. I went down and took the ham radio license test, and I passed. And then I kept going back till I got the highest that you can get for a license in ham radio. And I started talking to people all over the world. And I've talked to the Mir space station when it was up. I have another video that I don't have loaded right now, but when Grenada was under attack, I was listening in and monitoring what was going on there. And a ham radio operator, a student, he was actually operating during the attack, and he was underneath the table. "Help, help. We need this. We need this to have happen. Someone come down and bring, more weapons here to get these people out of here." And it was actually different than what was being portrayed on the news. So I have a video of Channel 9 up here in New Hampshire came over my house. They interviewed me while I was listening in to the communication from the student during the attack on Grenada. And they were talking about, look, the government, our government is saying this is happening, but these ham radio operators that are in Grenada are saying it's totally different. So it was a pretty interesting thing that happened.
So they were painting one picture when it was actually something else going on. I mean, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
But we're at the mercy of, the news, media.
But I here at the house, I have antennas that spin around, track satellites as they pass over. They point and they move, and they, it just.
How often do you get on those radios?
I get on, I don't say quite often. I get on like on the weekends or something. I'll get on for a few minutes. The nice thing about ham radio is you don't have to do it all the time, right? It's when you feel like sitting down and doing it, get on and do it. Like if I know there's something going on, or a friend of mine says, "Hey, let's connect," because I got friends in different places of the world. We'll set a time up and we'll get on and talk and carry on for a couple hours of just talking back and forth. And could you do it with a cell phone? Certainly. But it's not the same, communicating by radio and through satellites, and the art that goes along with that is a challenge and a lot of fun.
Yeah, it seems like. Man, you blowing my mind. This is
I want to get you into some new hobbies.
Yeah, this is so enlightening. It really is. I really, really appreciate this, for real. Man, it's so good catching up with you. I mean, I met you, you came in with a bang, and you come back with a bang.
The way I look at it, I mean, I always say I was born 50 years too early because the tech is so crazy, right? It's growing. They used to say that tech evolved in 18 months, and then it got down to a year. And that, with AI evolves every day.
Every day.
And you can't even begin to imagine yet what that's going to do to all the things that you're used to. I watched the president of another augmented reality company up on stage last week when I was out at the conference, talking about how she fell and got hurt, and she had internal injuries, and she went for an MRI, and they how MRI shows you blobs of color, right, of what's going on in your body, and a doctor reads that. Well, then they used a tool by NVIDIA, which applied AI to the images, and it created an exact replica of what her body organs look like. So you could actually see her organs, and the doctor could fly through the organs to see what was wrong. It was really amazing to see that.
Wow. I love it. 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 What else?
I'll leave you with it. I'll show you another video here. Put it in the other mode. I'm going to show you another video.
All right.
This one was like night vision, except I told you we moved it to color, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's midnight. That's what GoPro sees at midnight. That's what we were seeing.
Wow. And was that the psionic?
Yes. And then of course, and then of course, you've got to do fun things. So that's out of 14,000 feet in the dark.
Wow. So it's pitch black out there.
Yes. Pitch black.
That is crazy.
Now wait till you see what the guy does if you want to see crazy. He is heads down, spinning 365 degrees in a circle in the dark.
Oh, heck no. But he can see, though, because he has the night vision on. Is that correct?
Well, he doesn't have night vision on, but he can see the ground.
Oh, heck no.
There you go.
That's too much for me. That's too much for me. Oh my God. Hey, before we get out of here, talk about your podcast. We didn't speak about your podcast, Spatial Perspectives Podcast. Tell everybody about
the podcast, and I actually got a little behind on it. You know how tough it is to get people to line up and everything.
Yeah. So
it was about interviewing technologists about what was going on in the world of technology. So I had a bunch of people on that are movers and shakers in the world. There was the contact lens augmented reality guys who actually just got bought up, but that was pretty cool. So it's all about trying to introduce technology to the normal everyday folks that are out there in a way that they'll understand it and not be afraid of it. So that's what it was about.
Okay. Yeah, when you get back up and going, please let me know so I can.
I will.
Get a new episode.
I will.
Yeah, man, you're amazing. You're amazing, Dan.
Well, thank you. It's all about toys. He who dies with the most toys wins.
definitely about the toys. I love where tech is going. This is, man, I'm my mind is so many. I learned so much tonight. This is crazy. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it, man. Thank you so much for coming on. It's good catching up with you. I'm so glad I was able to reconnect with you.
wait too long. I mean, God, we'll have to do it again, and
Yes.
maybe I'll have you on my show. We'll do
Hey,
that.
bring me on. We'll chat it up. Bring me on. Let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it. It'll be fun. Yes. I can't wait. Hey, well, listen, we'll go ahead and get out of here. I appreciate it. Make sure everyone to follow Dan Instagram. It's on his lower third right there. Amazing guy. If you watched it, listen, if you're just tuning in and you missed this, please go back and watch the replay. He's amazing. He does so many things. Oh, man, I'm blown away. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on here and just sharing the platform.
It's a pleasure. Glad to catch up with you again.
Absolutely. Hey guys, you know where I'm at every Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here, kicking it with somebody cool like Dan Quee. Man, we are out of here, y'all. Peace and love. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you tell a friend, subscribe, all that good stuff. See you next time. We are out.